This is NotebookLM, Google's free AI tool that answers only from documents you give it and shows exactly where every answer came from: reports, articles, YouTube lectures, your own notes. You build the bookshelf, so to speak. It answers from that and nothing else, with references down to the exact passage. And free means free. Not free trial free, not freemium with the good parts locked away free. The actual product at no cost, at least while this video is being recorded. In this video, we will go through why NotebookLM works differently from chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, a tour of the interface and your first notebook, 3 worked use cases, learning a new field from scratch, preparing for a meeting that matters, and making long recordings searchable, what the free tier actually includes, and where the limits are, the honest caveats, including the one about your data that most videos skip. Whether you are an aspiring professional who wants a serious AI tool without paying for a subscription, or you already pay for 2 chatbots and want something they do not do, this one is worth 15 minutes of your time. Let's get started. To understand NotebookLM, think about the difference between a closed book and an open book exam. A chatbot like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude sits a closed book exam every time you ask it something. It answers from what it's absorbed during training, an enormous amount of text compressed into a model. That makes it broad, fast, and creative. It also makes it confidently wrong at times because it's reconstructing answers from memory, and memory blurs. If you have used these tools for anything factual, you have seen this happen. It's called hallucination, and I've spoken about it in my other videos. NotebookLM sits an open book exam. You decide what goes in the book. You upload the sources, documents, links, videos, and the tool answers your questions using only those sources. Every answer comes with numbered citations, and clicking a citation takes you to the exact passage in the original material. If the answer is not in your sources, NotebookLM says so instead of improvising. The technical term for this is retrieval augmented generation. You do not need to remember that. What you need to remember is the principle. The AI answers from your material and shows its work. The AI answers from your material and shows its work. If you have watched my video about companies, models, and apps, you can place NotebookLM on that map immediately. Google is the company. Gemini is the foundational model doing the reasoning under the hood. NotebookLM is the app, a specific car built around the engine, designed for one job: working with sources. Same engine as Gemini chatbot, completely different driving experience. And note what NotebookLM deliberately does not do. It does not browse the web when answering your questions. It does not know yesterday's news. It will not write your novel from a blank page. If that sounds limiting, it is, and that's the point. The constraint is what makes the answers checkable. For professional work, checkable beats impressive. Time to look at the actual tool. Go to notebooklm.google.com and sign in with any Google account. If you have Gmail, you're already done with this setup. Click Create New Notebook. Give it a descriptive name. The name is used as context for the answers, so CSRD, Sustainability Reporting, beats Notebook 3. The interface has 3 panels, and once you know them, you know the whole tool. On the left, Sources. This is the bookshelf. You add material with the Add Source button, and you can mix formats freely: PDFs, Google Docs and slides, plain text, web addresses, YouTube links, even audio files like recorded lectures or meetings. One caveat: scan PDFs without a text layer will not work, because the tool reads text, not images. In the middle, Chat. This is where you ask questions and get the cited answers we just talked about. On the right, Studio. This is where NotebookLM generates things from your sources: briefing documents, study guides, mind maps, quizzes, and the feature that made this tool famous: audio overviews, where 2 AI hosts discuss your material as a podcast. More on that in a moment. One more detail before we move on, because almost nobody notices it. Every source has a checkbox. Untick a source, and it is excluded from the next answer. This means one notebook can hold the whole project, while a single question runs against just the 2 documents that matter for it. Small feature, big difference once your notebooks grow. Sources, Chat, Studio. bookshelf, conversation, outputs. That is the entire mental model. First use case, and the one I would start with if you are early in your career, using NotebookLM to learn a new professional field. So you have just landed a new role, or want to land a role, that requires you to understand something you have never worked with: sustainability reporting, transfer pricing, cloud cost management, coding. The subject does not matter, the method does. The old way is 20 browser tabs, 3 half-read PDFs, and a YouTube playlist you will never finish. Here's the NotebookLM way. Step 1. Collect good sources. This is where the quality of everything downstream is decided. For a new field, I would gather 10 to 15 items, like the primary documents, the actual regulation, standard, or framework, not someone's summary of it, plus 1 or 2 well regarded industry guides, a couple of long YouTube explainers from credible channels, and 1 real world example, like an annual report that applies the framework in practice. Step 2. Interrogate the material. Do not start by reading 800 pages. Start by asking, what is this framework for? Who has to comply and from when? What are the 3 most common mistakes companies make? Watch how every answer carries citations, and click one so you see how it jumps to the exact passage in the source. This matters more than it looks. You're not just getting answers, you are building a map of where things are in the material. So when you do sit down to read properly, you read the right 30 pages instead of all 800s. And here's the question I always end a first session with, because it is the one a beginner cannot ask themselves. Based on these sources, what important topics have I not asked about yet? The tool lists the blind spots in your own questioning. Ask it every time. Step 3. Let Studio build your study kit. Generate a mind map to see the structure of the field in one picture. Generate a quiz and take it honestly. Nothing exposes a knowledge gap faster. And generate an audio overview for your commute. 2 AI hosts having a surprisingly natural conversation about your sources. You can give the hosts instructions before generating. For example, focus on what a consultant needs to know in the first client meeting, and the conversation adjusts. Is the analysis at expert level? No, it is a good first pass. Roughly what you would get from a well-prepared colleague explaining their reading. But as a way to get a feel into your head during hours that were otherwise dead time, it is hard to beat. And again, it only discusses what is in your sources. The honest comparison. This is what studying with a private tutor looks like, except the tutor has read exactly your materials, never gets tired of questions, and costs nothing. Second use case, from my own line of work: preparation for a high stakes meeting. The scenario: you are meeting a potential client or an employer. The mechanics are identical. You have their annual report, their latest quarterly, a handful of news articles, the meeting agenda, and your own notes from an earlier call. That is 5 to 10 sources. Perfect notebook size. Now, instead of skimming everything the evening before and retaining 10%, you work through the chat panel with pointed questions. What does the annual report say about margin development in the services segment? What risks does management highlight in their own words? Is there any tension between what the CEO said in the news article and what the report shows? Each answer cited, each citation checkable. If you quote a number in the meeting, you know which page it came from. Try getting that from a chatbot. When an answer is worth keeping, save it as a note in the notebook. The good answers accumulate into your own prep document as you work, instead of scrolling away in a chat history. Then over to Studio and generate a briefing document, a structured summary of everything in the notebook. Read it once in the morning before the meeting, and done. 2 more things worth showing here. First, notebooks are shareable. Send it to a colleague as viewer or editor, and your meeting prep becomes the team's meeting prep. Second, and this is for the aspiring professionals again, run this exact play before a job interview. Careers page, annual report, the role description, a founder interview from YouTube. Then ask, what would this company likely want from this role? And what questions should I ask them? 30 minutes of this, and you will walk in better prepared than most candidates with 10 years of experience. Third use case, and the most underrated one: long recordings. Audio is the least searchable format we work with. A 2-hour earnings call, a recorded webinar, a university lecture, last month's all hands. You cannot skim it, you cannot control F it, and nobody ever scrubs back through it. So the information in it effectively dies the moment the recording ends. NotebookLM fixes this. Upload the audio file, or paste the YouTube link if it lives there, and the recording becomes something you can question like a document. Take an earnings call from a company you follow, your client's biggest competitor, say. 2 hours of executives talking. Instead of listening to any of it, ask, what did management say about pricing pressure? What guidance did they give for next year? And did anyone on the call push back? Which analyst questions did they dodge? Cited answers, pointing back into the transcript in minutes. If you're early in your career, the same trick works on recorded lectures and webinars. Upload the semester's recordings into one notebook, and you have a searchable version of every class, including the ones you slept through. Combine it with the quiz feature from use case 1, and the recordings become an exam prep kit. And notice what just happened across all 3 use cases. It is the same 3 panels every time. Sources in, questions against them, outputs from Studio. Learn the workflow once, and every pile of unread material, documents, meetings, or audio, becomes something you can ask questions of. So what does the free tier include? As I record this, around 100 notebooks, 50 sources per notebook, 50 chat questions a day, and a few audio overviews per day. Mind maps, quizzes, briefing documents, video overviews included. The paid tiers mostly raise these quotas rather than unlock hidden features. For an individual learning a field or preparing for meetings, the free tier is not the teaser, it is the product. It's sufficient. Now the caveats, because no tool deserves a video without them. 1. The output is only as good as the bookshelf. Fit it blog spam and you get eloquent blog spam back, with citations. Choosing sources well is a skill this tool actually rewards, which for what it is worth is also the skill your career rewards. 2. Grounded does not mean infallible. NotebookLM can still misread the table or oversimplify a nuance. The difference is that citations make checking these issues take seconds instead of minutes. Use them. Checking the source is the whole point of having them. 3. Sources are snapshots. A website you added last month does not update itself in your notebook. For fast-moving topics, refresh your sources. 4. The big one. Think before you upload. On a personal Google account, do not upload confidential client material, unpublished financials, or anything covered by an NDA or personal data rules. Google states that NotebookLM content is not used to train their models, but not used for training and appropriate place for client data are 2 different questions, especially here in the EU. If your organization runs Google Workplace, there is an enterprise version with proper data handling. That is the right home for sensitive work. For everything public, reports, regulations, articles, your own study notes, the free version is fine. NotebookLM is one corner of Google's AI landscape, and honestly, it is the corner I would show a professional first. There is a whole map behind it. The Gemini app, the AI sitting inside Gmail and Docs, tools for building your own things. That map deserves its own video, and is the next one I am making. For now, 3 things to take with you. NotebookLM answers only from sources you choose, and shows you where every answer came from. The free tier is the real product, not a demo. And the skill it trains, asking sharp questions of well-chosen material, is worth more than the tool itself. If this was useful, subscribe. I will keep exploring how businesses and technical thinking can work together. If you want help cutting through the AI hype in your own organization, you will find me at my website. See you in the next one.